for the second day of our Novena to Our Lady of Lourdes, this book on the Crowds of Lourdes by J.K. Huysmans. I wanted to share a little bit more with regards to the crowds, the faith of the crowds, and even the faith of the clergy that is leading them. So he has some beautiful stories I think you'll enjoy for this next session. All turn their steps towards the grotto, cleaving asunder the multitudes of pilgrims from all quarters, who are distinguished from one another by their badges. For everyone wears a ribbon or a rosette. Everyone is decorated. Driven hither and thither by the eddies of the crowd, tugged forward and thrust back into queues by the sisters of the Holy Ghost and the clergy, the Bretons, nevertheless, reach the grotto, but it is quite full. All along the river, people are swarming, and the space between the grill of the grotto and the parapet of the gave is very restricted. The stretcher bearers, whose business is to keep order, stand opposite one another and stretch ropes to secure a free road for the conveyances and chairs bringing the sick from the hospital. At this time, the Basilica of the Crypt, upon which it is built, and the Rosary are crammed to overflowing. Groups are standing at the doors, thrown wide open, and hear the Mass at a distance. And now the Esplanade hill, up which the way of the cross comes to life, and is like a slowly revolving spiral, breaks forth into hymns. It appears to be on the move with those who are climbing the zigzag paths on its slopes. This is a pilgrimage from Quercy, winding with a banner ahead of it, and shouting with voices like the banging of sheets of corrugated iron. A hymn sounds forth. I know these fellows. They might be called the coal heavers of Lourdes. They are all black, clothes, caps, and coats. Not even a spot of white linen about their necks, and their very features seem to be thrown into relief with dabs of charcoal. Yesterday they were prowling and scowling in strings of pious jabbers through the streets of the town, and the shopkeepers, knowing they would buy nothing, were jeering as they listened to their jargon, as they hung around their wares. And while these somber southerners wend their way vociferating up the zigzag paths on the hillside, others have succeeded by hook or by crook in massing together the Bretons near the grotto. And they are now listening to the sermon of one of their rectors, perched up in a pulpit. They are standing uncovered and all attention, and while running through the Rosary, they all fasten their blissful gaze upon the white and blue statue of Our Lady. They are bustled and hustled, and their huge feet are stamped upon to open a way through the ranks for the bedridden and sick. But no one protests or stops praying. They are no longer the sleepy louts of a few hours ago, but good and humble people, full of the simple and strong piety of their race, invoking the Virgin whom they have come so far to venerate. After the Rosary, very quietly, led by the sisters, they file off, 2 by 2, into the grotto and kiss the rock, entering the grill by one gate and leaving it by the other, and then they will go in single file to drink from the spring. I betake myself to the piscinas, confined within railings and closed by ropes across the entrance, the space before the 3 dwarf muddled Gothic buildings, stuck in at the bottom of the rock beneath the side of the basilica, only a few paces from the grotto, is filled with the conveyances of the sick and the stretcher-bearers in berets with leather braces, which are the free passes and sesames of Lourdes. They raise the pillow of a sick man to let him drink from a tin mug. And very devoted they are to the unfortunates, whom they draw from the hospital to the piscinas, acting as beasts of burden. The piscinas are the baths in Lourdes. A priest who looks like a jailbird, with 5 days' growth of beard, from some out-of-the-way hole in the depths of the provinces, flings himself upon his knees, with his arms outstretched in the form of a cross. Right in front of everyone, he says the rosary in a loud voice, invokes the Virgin with great cries, and implores her to heal the patients who are being bathed. And his kindled soul lights up his features, and little by little works upon the onlookers till they are inflamed. How well he prays, poor country curate that he is! With what a voice, and with what eyes! Eyes of both fire and water, firebrands flashing into tears. And still the ambulances come in, full of wan paralytics with relaxed lips. Inspecting, one wonders what on the ground. Of the dropsied, with heads thrown back as if in aversion from the haunting panic of stomachs swollen like the bulge of an oil bottle. Of consumptives sunken and sad, whose glazed eyes wander round, and the heart-diseased, choking, and lifting their necks into the air in their efforts to breathe more freely. And the ambulances are drawn close together, and now comes the char-a-banc of the serious cases lying out at full length on mattresses placed on litters. Livid men and women with distorted features, pinched noses, mouths like 2 lines of ashes, and poached eyes in a ring of lilac amidst something white. The stretcher-bearers hasten to take down the litters carefully and put them near the doors of the piscinas, which are closed with curtains. In the presence of these pictures of sorrow which are passing by, the kneeling priest whips up the crowd and excites its feelings with pitiful cries of his broken voice. Lord, save our sick! We'll continue tomorrow.